Hello there, this is Reg from Micro Grinder, making a different style of video by going with a full ring video from the Pokerstars 25NL Zoom games. I just want to check we're recording because it disappeared. Yes, we are. This is the first full ring video I've made, but I actually did build my bankroll and kind of cut my teeth grinding full ring before kind of venturing into 6 max. So it's something that I am very familiar with, albeit not too experienced in, with the modern games and how they play, but it's full ring. I don't expect it to have changed a great deal down the years. People may be a little bit more aggressive in the blinds and the pre-flop steal spots, but overall I'm expecting games to play very similarly to how they always have done, really, especially at these limits. Straight away off the bat here, I'm just going to bet 3 streets for value. If I get raised, I'm not going to be delighted, especially in a full ring sense, where I expect people to play a lot more passively, fit or fold, call it what you will post flop. But having said that, we have an overpair in a 3-bet pot, and I'm not going to be in the business of folding that against anybody, really. And if they've got a set, good luck to them. Here I just called the turn because obviously, whilst we hit our straight, it's not the best straight, it's the worst straight possible on the board, and also the flush card came. And now the board's paired in the river, he's checked. I'm going to go for something value with the bet fold here. I think there's definitely some value we can get. That was a misclick up here on this table, it wasn't supposed to be a min raise. If he raises, I'm just going to give him credit for having a flush or a full house. I did want to raise this bigger up here. Quite disappointed that I didn't press the button, but what the hell, it worked. So yeah, it may be a little fast, this video, and if it is, I kind of apologise. What I will do, if we get some tough spots or some interesting spots, and there's other tables blinking away at me, I will just sit out of other tables because I don't want to have it being too fast, but to be in full ring. I also didn't want it to feel too slow either. So this is kind of like a bit of a suck it and see situation. These buttons I haven't really done since the last time I played on the site, so I'm not that sure that they're appropriate for these games, but we'll stick with them for now. We can easily adjust with the slider if we need to. So this guy's got, and it is quite small, this HUD. He's got an 83% c-bet out of position, but only 38, sorry, in position, but only 38 out of position, which kind of makes me believe probably got quite a strong hand here, but I can't fold for 1 bet. I will be folding on the turn if he continues again, because of that out of position small c-bet. Here I'm just going to shove actually because the guy's got no money. It's not like I can afford what I thought I was going to shove. I've actually left 1 cent behind, so with me I'm just going to fold here like we said. And that was basically because he had a really high in position c-bet and a really small out of position c-bet. And I think this is the first video I've made where I've actually had stats. So hopefully we can get into some more interesting theory spots and try and look for some ways to exploit some people based on the tendencies, although I accept them as sample sizes on a lot of players is going to be quite small. Here I'm just going to 3-bet just to try and get the pot heads up, to try and isolate him. Our c-bets are going to work a lot better in position in 3-bet pots, then if we call, or sorry, we're going to be able to win the pot more with aggression post flop than we are if we call, and then we're faced with aggression. I think this way around we get to decide if and when money goes in more often than playing like a calling guessing game. And there's definitely worse hands you can call with. I'm going to bet here for some finish value and protection. I'm going to bet the turn again. I'm bet folding at all points here, because I think that board hits him pretty hard, and that is obviously it's a clearly terrible river, and he probably knows I'm going to check back, so I kind of think he's probably right to bet, because there's not that many hands I can have here. The fact I have the nut blocker would have been a nice spot had he not done this, and now he's done this. It's a really trivial fault, and yeah, it's a little bit sad. Makes me feel a little bit sad that we didn't win the pot, but I'm more than happy with the way we played the hand. It just didn't work out for us. If there are any full ring players out there watching this that are unfamiliar with me, I am a microstakes coach. I primarily have been working with people who play six max, but like I say, full ring was my first love, really. And it was something I think I'm kind of going to get back into, because I haven't been hugely enjoying six max lately, and I do primarily play poker for a side income and pleasure. If I'm not getting pleasure, I lose motivation to grind, so therefore I lose my side income. So as I've not really been enjoying six max lately, I'm kind of giving full ring a spin again, which is why I'm making this video. If you are a microstakes player, play a full ring, who's considering getting some help, please do send me a message on YouTube or Reddit, and we can have a chat and see if there's any way we can work together. Here, I could 3-bet here. I don't know if I'm about small blind opening range, and we have a hand that plays pretty well post flop. One thing you will see me doing, for those who've watched a lot of my videos, is opening a lot wider from the cut-off and the button than I do in six max games, because I just believe there's less 3-betting in these games. So therefore I just think this deals work way more often, so therefore I'm more inclined to do it more often. Yeah, this is a pretty terrible flop for me, but I'm kind of going to see bet, just hoping to get him off some better ace eyes, some small pocket pairs. I'm not going to see bet this board, because I think my hand's too strong to turn into a bluff, which kind of we are doing when we bet. And I think we could check call some smallish bets. Here we have a very self-explanatory c-bet. We're going to check call here, just one street, and now I plan on just check calling him down. Here we're just going to keep on barreling for value. I'm going to raise here now, just because his bet's too small and I want more money going in at this point. That 4 could actually be a really good card for us here, because if he's got an overpair, he's likely now to pay off quite a large bet, because he's now got a full house. Wow, I've been min raised back again here. It kind of makes me know what to fold, which makes a bit of a mockery of my check raise. But I'm just going to fold, because I just don't believe he's going to be doing that as a bluff very often. I think he's going to have Queen 10 all at their sets. So yeah, I'm happy with the player race of value. I got 3-bet. If he's somehow got a worse hand, like King Queen or something, well, congratulations to him. I just didn't want to call there, then check call the river. But there's not really any rivers that are going to be that good for me. So no, if I don't going to call the river, there's not an awful lot of point of calling the turn, really. This guy's checked here. I'm just going to try and triple barrel him. off hands that are worse than a king, pocket pairs that are worse than king X. And I would have probably triple barreled there because when he checks the board that dry, king X that dry, he usually isn't going to have too much of a strong hand. But obviously our 9 high isn't going to win too many showdowns. You will see me also calling a lot wider in position against early position opens than I do in my 6-pack videos. Again, this is because I believe these games play less aggressively. I believe I get squeezed a lot less often, and I believe our implied odds are a lot better because ranges are a lot narrower to begin with. So for those reasons, I think hands that don't have too much value or can be overplayed and overrated in 6-max in terms of implied odds, I think those hands are revalued in fully because I think our implied odds is usually going to be a lot better. We've got a guy here playing 11-7. I don't particularly want to 3-bet here. We're a little bit deep because I think he's not that likely to call with worse. With him having such a narrow range to begin with, of course it's a small sample size, but I'm taking it at face value for now. I call once here, and I maybe call the turn depending on sizing and if it improves my equity in some way. Which the 6 doesn't, so now it's just going to be pretty much a sizing issue. If he bets around half pot or less, I will call. If he bets more, I will absolutely be folded. And these checkbacks. So now we have a decision of do we go for some thin value on the river? Well, the 10's not a good card for us. Because we can have a 10. And he can understand that. So I'm just going to check. And probably fold, to be completely honest, unless he bets really small. Here I'm c-betting because it's king high with backdoor flush draw. And I expect to get a lot of folds again because it's full ring and people just aren't quite as crazy. It's really easy to check back with the queens. No worse hands are going to call. So we know worse hands are going to call very often. Some hearts may. I don't think I'm going to get any better hands to fold. I'm just going to try and show my hand down. And this might be a little bit weak. But just with the stack size, I just think it's too much of a good check shove spot there. And yeah, whatever we end up chopping the pot, that could probably have won. But I'm a little bit rusty, there's no denying that, and maybe I missed a spot to bet there on the river, who knows. I think I possibly did. But that could just be play results. I don't intend on calling any or many 3-bets in these games. This guy's got a red tag, which for me is tight, regular. Although my tags are very old, probably based on 6 or more month old information. And I'm calling with the choose to set man because I believe our implied odds are significantly better. I wouldn't do this in 6-max. As I said, I think all our implied odds hands go way up in value. We need checks back here. Now it's whether I want to turn my pocket twos into a bluff. And I don't know anything about this guy, but I think I'll go for it. Because I think most of the time when he checks back there, he's going to have a weakish ace or an underpair to the ace and the queen, so something like 10s, jacks, 9s, 8s, something like that. I think we can get him to fold that with a double barrel pretty often. And if he's in the habit of checking back weak aces, well, he's going to get 2 streets from me. Here we have a really easy 3-bet. I think I expect him to fold quite a lot here because he hasn't made the biggest isolation raise ever, which usually is a signal that someone isn't that in love with the hand and they are just going for some form of cheap isolation. But he might just be quite poor at bet sizing and he might have been isolated for value and just not really size his bets very well. Right. Obviously we can't stack off here. Sorry, obviously we have to stack off here. It's just a matter of how do I call and then fast play post flop, or do I just 4-bet now and trust we're going to get it in good? And I think I'm just going to jam. And I expect him to have aces a decent amount here, but what can we do? You know, we've got 2 kings, and sometimes we make full houses against aces, which is nice. A little bit of video run good. I don't think that's a fold there. I really don't. I mean, we all see the threads of can we fold king king pre. It's usually the precursor to somebody running into aces, and I just still don't think we can. I think it's too likely he has ace king, 2 queens. Who knows? Ace queen suited. We don't know how wide people are going to get it in there. But I jammed basically because if he has got to have like ace king, I don't want him missing, and I'm losing a lot of value that I can absolutely get pre-flop. I mean, it's not like I'm ever going to fold post flop anyway unless an ace comes, and even then I'm kind of making life too difficult for myself. I don't have to jam, but I don't think I'm going to induce very much by making a small 5-bet there. So I'm going to get it all in. Let's just make sure it all goes in against ace king was kind of my philosophy. Here you can see a 3-bet the ace queen earlier. I'm not going to do it here because of the guy's stack size. I'm just going to call and see what occurs. Because I don't particularly want to 3-bet there, have him 4-bet shove on me, and me probably have to fold my hand. So far this guy's c-bet percentage, well, he hasn't had actually been in a position to make a c-bet yet, so I guess in all his pre-flop days he'll produce folds. I'm going to float just once here. Just because I think people do c-bet a little bit too much. Maybe he's one of them, maybe he isn't, I don't know, but I think it's a board that can hit me quite hard. And there's also a lot of turn cards that I could try and bluff on there. Any card that brought 4 to a straight, any card that paid the board. So I'm quite happy with my float. He absolutely bombed the turn, probably just had a big hand. So such is life. This is pretty much a board I'm just not going to see bet very often at all. I've got no backdoor equity. I have some showdown value, but not very much. And that's why I don't do it, because he's just potted the turn now, which suggests to me he's probably got a hand he likes a lot. Then we just get check raised way too much in those spots. And there's not that many ways to win if we see bet and get called. So with all that in mind, I'm more than happy just to take the passive route. Check back, try and spike a turn, try and get a cheap showdown, something like that. I don't think there's anything too much wrong with that. Yes, an 11-8. What to do? With a 5% early position open, I think ace jack is a trivial fold. I think it's absolutely trivial. King queen here. This guy forced to a lot of 3-bets, so we'll try and make one. We're kind of turning our hand into a bluff. You expect him to play a 4-bet or fold most of the time. People play like this. He's got 83% fold to 3-bet. Albeit over a smallish sample, but I'm happy to make him fold there. I'm making him fold some small pairs, which he must be doing if he's folding that much 3-bets. And some ace highs. I think that's a good result with king queen off. I would have probably just peeled king queen suited. But again, it's nice to actually have some stats to work with for a change instead of playing my snap tables, which I'm playing obviously pretty much readless apart from any reads that I've developed over time. So far these games are pretty much as I expected them to. I'm not seeing an awful lot of fish, but I'm not seeing an awful lot of players that are likely to intimidate us too much either. I'm not seeing anything to be scared of. But I'm not sure how profitable these games are or aren't, to be honest with you. It might be an interesting thing for me to try and grind them for 50,000 hands, see what I think's possible. It could be a fun challenge for me. Now this guy's checked, I'm just going to double barrel because we obviously got quite a bit of equity. And I mean, he could now be just a check call down mode with a hand like King Queen or something like that. I see these lines taken quite a lot in these spots. Yeah, he could have a hand like Ace Jack, King Queen. Who knows what else he could have? He could have some quite strongish hands here, but I'm just going to go for it because obviously our hand doesn't win very often. I need to sort these buttons out. I'm almost making some huge races. This is a pretty standard isolation race here. And now it's just going to be bet folding every street. Oh, we've been 3-bet small. So it's what size to make this now? We're only 100 blinds deep. Try to get my size in right. What's 22 blinds here? It's about that, I believe. And he's just turbo folded, which is a shame, but I'm not really sure there's anything else to say about that. Just seems a pretty standard spot to 4-bet. Of course, when he folds, we're kind of thinking maybe could we have made our 4-bet smaller, could we have just called, etc. But no, 4-betting is absolutely the right play. It just turned out that he actually just didn't have a hand this time. He was just bluffing, I would imagine. Which isn't something I expect to see an awful lot of. But obviously we're going to see some of it. We're not, I expect this 3-betting in these games is nowhere near as rife as it is in 6-max games, but that's not to say people aren't ever going to be 3-bet bluffing. I just think it happens less often. This player looks quite passive with his C-betting. I know it's C-betting stats rather than anything else, but it still indicates a certain amount of passivity. The fact he isn't C-betting very often, I think we can extend that to thinking that he's not going to bluff raises too often on those spots. I think we can get some clean value and just probably fall to a raise here against somebody who is looking to be passive. And here I was just checking down because we've got a pretty weak hand. And I don't expect to get too many folds. I'm just going to fold. And there could be a little bit of autopilot going on here because of the fact I'm 4-tabling. And I could be making some smallish mistakes in some of the smaller pots. But this is a learning curve for me too. Perhaps I could have bet that flop just because my equity was quite a low equity hand. Maybe it wouldn't have been a terrible spot just to take one stab at it. I have no intention of folding here. We have top 2. I'm only really scared of 2 9s. I'm not that happy that we are a little bit deep, and I think 2 9s are definitely in his range. But so's Ace King, so's Ace Queen. 10's not a great card, but we have a pot size bet left, so in she goes. I think if he had 9s, he would have probably jammed the flop, so I'm quite confident with the best hand here. I don't think he takes that line with King Queen. I don't think the 10 changes too much. And he folded. So I'm not really sure what he had there. Maybe he had some kind of pair plus draw type hand, who knows. And we flop another set, which is nice. Here we'll just go for a pretty thin ISO. Here we're obviously going to go for check raise. Here we'll just be check calling on the top left table. We'll be c-betting our good shot and backdoor flush draw for sure. I don't particularly like check raising 2 players because I think it looks really quite strong. But I don't really want too many bad turns to come off, so I don't believe that is a bad turn against his range. I mean, if he somehow has 3x, well, hallelujah. That's all I have to say about that. There's not much I can do about it. I think he's way more likely to have an overpair, which he did have, and he hits it, which kind of makes up a little bit for my stuck out earlier. If for those of you who are into those kind of things, I'm not personally. Yeah, he kind of had what he expected him to have there. And I'm now really glad of the run it twice feature because obviously it bailed us out that time. This guy c-bets pretty much the same in and out of position. His early position range is pretty narrow, but certainly narrow enough that we can consider folding. Top pair good kicker, and now our kicker problems have been alleviated, so now we're just scared of just 2 hands, which is obviously 2 kings and 2 aces. And then we're just going to bet fold this river. I'm not one for calling 3 bets with pocket pairs, but when they make it so ludicrously small, we kind of have no choice. I don't know, did we get called there? No, it looks like he folded. I didn't see, I was too busy looking at the fact I got 3 bet. We're obviously going to call them in raise with the king jack off. If this was the other way around and the 60-60 guy had a bigger sample size and he were to call her, I think it'd be a good spot to try and squeeze with the queen 5 suited, but because the guy who looks like he may be the weak player was the opener and the regular was the caller, it makes it a far less appealing squeeze because it's way more likely that the loose player is going to come along and then the regular is way more likely to come along because of the fact that the loose players come along. Had that been regular than loose player, then there's a good chance that we can make the regular fold and then we just play a pot in position with the loose player, which yeah, we've got queen 5, it's not something to get excited about, but the fact we have position on a loose player is something to get excited about. Yeah, I'm just going to fold the guy's 13-10 over a small sample size. How often is he going to get it out of line there? Probably some, but not so often where I feel I need to be defending against him. One thing I will credit Pokerstars for is it's a joy to play on this software. It is a nice bit of kit. I'll give them that. I'm not a big fan of Pokerstars as a company. I think they're bad for poker. But yeah, they do have a damn sexy piece of software. Very slick. Pleasure to work, pleasure to play on. It's a shame that the games are absolutely saturated with people like me, to be honest, you know. Pretty solid regulars, just out trying to grind a living. Maybe these Zoom games full ring are quite beatable, I'm not sure yet. I suspect they're going to be way more beatable than the 6-match games are for sure. I think the standard of the regulars is going to be worse. I think we're going to perhaps bump into some more loose, passive, weaker players along the way. So I certainly think there'll be softer games than the 6-match. and I would never dream of really grinding 6-packs on Pokerstars unless the poker landscape changed dramatically. Because I believe that the 6-pack Zoom games on Pokerstars, whatever limit they are probably the toughest games in the world for that particular limit. I'm not saying 5-L is the toughest game in the world, but it will be the toughest 5-L game in the world if that makes sense. I'm going to go for my first light 3-bet here just because the guy doesn't have a full stack. He's likely to call with the worst hand more often. Again, I'm calling here because he's made it too small. Obviously it's not a good hand, but when he makes it that small, I think we have a pretty easy defend. Obviously now we have an easy fold. Here I'm going to c-bet my backdoor spade draw. Here I'm just going to not bother trying to c-bet against two players. Yeah, I am going to c-bet for some thin value, and just to protect myself and get in people stabbing with 2-8s, 2-7s, just making pro bets when I check. I don't believe I'm going to get bluff raised there. Oh, not ever, but I think I'm rarely going to get bluff raised. But I do think if I check, people will frequently start stabbing with worse hands than mine and put me in tougher spots than I particularly want to be in. For no reason other than I put myself in that tough spot by checking. I'm going to defend the Queen 8 here just because it's such a small raise. Obviously I don't think I'm ahead of either player's range. But my hand plays okay, and it was like 1.5 lines more. I think it's a bigger mistake to fold there than it is to call. When it's checked through and I picked up some equity, I am just going to double barrel. I guess a 7-7, welcome to full ring. We're just going to call. What about this guy? I clearly know nothing about him whatsoever. Let's try 3-bet bluffing him. See what happens. That hand's quite playable. I considered donking there because the other guy came along too, so I think the chances of him c-bet bluffing are going to be significantly lower. But I'm not that sure how many worse hands to call. Obviously Jack X calls, but Jack X probably bets. So I don't think I've really achieved that much. I think I'm just going to check call, probably check fold here. So I think he's going to check back Jack X a heck of a lot on the river. People aren't really that good at getting thin value. So I think I check call, check fold, unless he makes it temptingly small. It's going to be an okay line here. He doesn't make it temptingly small. I think it's just way too likely to have aces or kings here. Because it's pretty obvious I have a Jack X or better. And he doesn't seem to care much about that. So that could be quite a nitty fold. But I'm just going on my belief that triple barrel bluffs in that spot there in full ring against somebody playing that tight. The chance of them bluffing there, I think, is slim. The chance of them going for 3 street to value with kind of ace jacks the only hand he can really have, that isn't way more likely going to be beat there. And then when somebody with that stack size limp raises, it's kind of one of the easiest folds in the history of the world. So how long have we been going for? 34 minutes. So we'll go for another 26 or so. Hopefully we'll find some more spots. Hopefully it's been something a bit different for people who watch all of our videos. This will definitely be something different. If you're a 6-packs player, I hope you're stuck with it. If you're new to me and you're watching just because it's full ring, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the way I try and break down hands. It has been a little bit hectic at times. I haven't been able to give as much discussion as I like to give, but yeah, I don't think it's been too bad in terms of the pace of the video. I'm going to call here because of the small blind. I'm going to hope he's going to come along some of the time and give me some. My hand isn't that valuable against someone who's raising from kind of middleish position. But if it gets revalued by this guy here, I think it's worth playing. If we're taking a shot, he comes along. Against an 18-7. What is my plan here? I think the 3-bet's mandatory. And I guess 3-bet 5-bet's going to be mandatory because even though he's 18-7, he's going to be doing some things from the cut-off that isn't 18-7-ish, I would imagine. Although this is a pretty terrible board to see bet. His cut-off open is 67%. Here we have a mandatory squeeze. I'm just going to check because I don't believe I'm going to get in for a lot of the hands that call my pre-flop 3-bet. Those being 10s, jacks, queens, 9s, things like that. When he checks back, I'm going to just take one bet at this now just to try and make him fold any middle pocket pairs that he's got in his range. I probably shouldn't have squeezed a 9/2. That probably wasn't the cleverest thing ever. Again, that's a little bit of autopiloting because of probably playing too many tables, to be completely honest. Having said that, he won't know an awful lot about me because I don't have many hands on him. So I am going to c-bet. I have 2 overcards. I think it's pretty dry. I think I can barrel any jack, queen, king or ace, obviously. And there it works. In 9-2, it's insanely tight. But it's a small sample size. I don't expect him to actually be 9-2. And with him being like that, I think that he's going to have quite a lot of pocket pairs in his range. We're going call. And I think he's going to fold most of them. The jack was a decent card to barrel. It's significantly higher than the board cards. And I am repping quite a lot of strength. I have a 3-bet pre-flop, which is a lot stronger in full ring than it is in 6-backs. It shouldn't be, but it is. And then when I see bet the flop and bomb the turn, I kind of doing a pretty good job of repping aces, kings, queens, those type of things. So he's going to put him in a tough spot with a lot of his range. And I think it was a fine barrel. But if there are any full ring players who think it was a really piss poor barrel, I'd be more than happy to hear about it because, like I said, my full ring game could be rusty. It doesn't feel like it's rusty. I feel like I've got a decent grip on the situations that I've been in most of the time. But who knows? I'm completely not up to date. I haven't watched a full ring strategy video or contributed on any full ring forum posts for such a long time. But like I said earlier, I don't expect the games to have changed that much. They may be a little bit more active in those spots like their button versus blinds, but kind of that's about it. I think in the field, like these sort of spots, I don't expect them to have changed a huge amount. As you can see in these games, I'm more than happy opening pairs more often than doing 6-backs games. Because I feel there's less people messing around. Less people there that are prone to make life difficult for us post flop. Yeah, I'm just going to take a stab at raising because we have two backdoor draws. I can't really peel, but we have two backdoor draws. And we can. There's a lot of turn cards we can barrel on if he just calls. Then if he obviously be three bets us, we're clearly going to be done with the hand. That isn't one of the cards I was that keen on barreling because when he does call, I think he's going to have an awful lot of pairs. And like maybe not sets but pairs, but I might just go for it here now because I can have a lot of semi-bluffs in my range that I've just got there. As I think he has less because I think he would maybe three bet a lot of his big diamonds on the flop. I think if he's got say ace king of diamonds for example, I think there's a good chance that he would go c bet three bet. When he calls again, I'm giving up at this point. There's not a chance I'm going to try and bluff this guy in the river. I doubt he's in the mood to fold when he's got two bets. It's going to be a shame if he shows me down one pair with a diamond. That is going to make me a little bit sad. But I just don't think I'm going to get enough folds. And he certainly wasn't going to fold that, of course. Here he's going to go for some thin value. And those sort of things are sort of things if we're stealing it, I will note. Because people opening 10-8 suited. Well, no, I thought it was an early position. Maybe I'm talking nonsense there. I thought he'd raised from early position. That's completely standard open from there, so I wouldn't note that. I think it's a little bit noteworthy that he got there and still just continued bluff catching. Because a lot of players will just donk that river, even though I did bet the turn. A lot of players will still donk the river because they won't want to allow me an easy check back. Like I did there. Well, I mean, if I had a jack there, I probably would have checked back too. If I had anything that wasn't better than two pair, I almost certainly would have checked back. 15, 13, 100% for to see bet, but small sample. Jack Queen off. I'm just going to let it go. Jack Queen suited I would have defended. 14, 10, what's his cut off open? 32% is wide enough to consider. Going for it. This guy's got a big enough sample size, so we'll fold. Some of my tags are out now because yellow is typically a tag I use for a class as like cowardice almost, and then it's save it for the players who are like 14-5 and 18-6, people like that. When I see someone who's now got 14-11 stats over 700 hands, they would invariably get the red tag. So that's maybe someone who has been tagged a while ago and who's improved the game, or maybe it was a sample size issue and I've tagged them a little bit too early. This could be a little bit loose, but I'm just going to 3-bet and call it off here. It can't be terrible. You just see stack size was like, what on earth's going on there? Obviously peeling wouldn't be great. Folding would be terrible, so kind of only left me with a 3-bet option really. This guy looks like he could be active, and his Forex tick, which suggests he's probably going to be some kind of weaker player. Who knows what kind of weaker player yet? But right now, I'm making an assumption that possibly on the aggressive side, which makes spots like this all the more difficult when we flop an overpair. And again, I think this is what I might go call fold. Because when I call twice, my hand's pretty face up. It's unlikely I'm going to have a draw. It's going to be pretty face up as some kind of pair. And again, I don't believe people are triple barrel bluffing too much. And that actually could be quite a good card if you bet small to maybe go for a bluff. Because I'm kind of thinking overpair here. I'm thinking he has a hand like maybe Jack X, Kings, Queens. He shouldn't theoretically be able to call here if I make a raise. But he may. Who knows? He may even jam when he goes for the jam. So I mean that could have been a really bad race. Now it's looking like it is a bad race. But yeah, I can't call there. And I'm kind of hoping he's going to bet forward line with that kind of size. I'm going to use 3-bets it back. I mean, I literally have no idea what's just gone on there. When he does that, it looks like he's got the nuts, and it's quite hard for someone with a good range to have the nuts there. So, who knows? Perhaps I should have stuck to my original read that he was just going to be bad and too aggressive, and maybe just either called or folded. Because if they are bad and too aggressive, they're going to be prone to not being that big or folded. And maybe a better play to make against a regular who is capable of folding aces or kings or something there. And I suspect he probably isn't capable of that. I'm assuming this guy's a regular. I'm going to go for 3-bet bluff. Might fire all three here. I think people's limp calling range is going to be Ace Jack, Ace Queen, a lot of middling pairs. And that's quite a dry board. It's going to be hard for him to have too much on there. So maybe I was clearly not bluffing there with the fives because not that many better hands are going to fold. But I think he's going to have a decent equity share against fives there. And I think I can definitely get some hands to fold by the river if I fire more than one straight. Here we have quite an exciting spot. I will be bet 3-betting here, sure. And I am now going to go for a check raise on the turn because I believe if he had a set, he would have 100% raised that flop, or almost 100% raised that flop. Because I believe he would have been scared of all the draws and he would have raised to try and get some money in. When he checks back, I think he's going to have 10x, 2 9s, 2 10s, those kind of hands a lot. And I'm not sure this bluff is going to be that good, to be honest with you. But I kind of want to try and make him fold a hand that was like a pair and a gut shot on the flop. So I think that bet was close. Because I don't think he's ever going to fold Jack X, but I think he's going to stab Jack X a lot on the turn when he checks back the turn. Again, I think in 9s and 8s, pretty much, so in 9s and 10s are a huge part of his range by then. And because he's probably irregular, he's probably not going to be that into paying off on the river, even though I don't really rep very much. Because I wouldn't have checked aces or kings on the turn there, for example. I would have definitely bet for some value and protection. So I am taking a little bit of time adjusting to the different ranges because I'm so used to playing 6-backs and perhaps putting people on wider ranges think I certainly made a mistake before with those 2 9s. I was kind of thinking that he's going to be bad as aggressive. He can't really handle the raise that often. And it could just be a sample size thing. He could just be a really nitty player who just happens to have had a run of hands on the table on the times I've been sat with him. It was a bit of a leap of faith. But it's a video. It's all about fun. Here, not a chance in hell I'm going to call an under the gun open from a 9/2 with ace queen. I don't think we're going to get any value post flop. When we hit, or very rarely, I think we're going to have big bad reverse implied odds. So here I'm tempted to squeeze it a bluff with the ace 10. Let's just have a look at it. No, I'm just going to fold actually because of how tight the opener was. He had a 6% pre-flop raise, albeit over a small sample. It has to mean something. Here I'm just going to check and probably just call one street, just to allow him to probe with things that we're beating still. Now I'm going to go for some thin value myself. Call there against the 18-15. This guy's got a 9.5% 3-bet, albeit on a very small sample. I'm not prepared to fold ace king to him. Here it's just a check fold on the river. Here's a check back because I think we either have the best hand or we're chopping. And that's where I've just made a really bad bet. Just use my silly buttons. Clearly, opening 2 9 times a blind or 10, whatever it is I've done there, is not something I typically do with 2 queens under the gun. I'm going to call and pray not to see a heart on the river. Somehow I've managed to get called, which is insane. But there we go. I'm really not fond of this spot. But I think you see bets flush draws a lot on the flop. Wow, yeah, king there. Which I mean, his 3-bet there is pretty terrible. From the small blind against somebody who's raising from pretty early position. I mean, he's probably read it on some forum somewhere that it's good to do that. If you are doing that, it's pretty horrendous, to be completely honest. And you should probably stop doing it against someone who's opening under the gun in full ring. Kind of like thinking, what on earth does this guy rep here when he's raising? He's probably not raising a 9, probably not raising 2 3s. I'm probably not inclined to fold because of that. And this could be quite a spewy check call down here. But unless he's slow played something like 2 queens or something before the flop, I'm just not that inclined to believe him. I don't think the king's a great card. I may well check fold on the king, but no, as I say, he's bluffing there. It's just, what does he rep on that flop? It just smelled to me. Let's see what he showed up with. 2 7s. I mean, again, I have no real idea what he's trying to do there. I mean, I'm guessing he's trying to bluff me. But no, there's not a lot to be liked about that play. For that exact reason, I'm not the sort of guy who likes paying off light. I don't pay off light very often. But when people don't rep anything, like he doesn't there, or don't rep anything, that's pretty much an overused term. When they don't rep very much, I'm kind of quite happy to try and bluff catch in those spots. Yeah, I know we set mine, but yeah, I think I will actually because of this guy. Here I'm just going to take a stab because I believe I only have one player to get through. So we only have one player to get through. I think this guy's check folding most of the time. That queen is not a pleasant card. So I will just be giving up at this point. I think we have to call once on the flop. Now that's quite interesting, because now we hit the king. I think we still have a check fold here. Fold there. Now, I think we can just quite easily bet fold here, because if he raises, he's probably going to upset. Would be my best guess. Let's just slow play the flop because it's so dry, and then now when I bet this turn. And I think I'm just going to check fold the river. And I think if he's got a hand like 2 jacks, 2 tens, 2 nines, he's going to check back here. I'm not concerned that he's going to turn a worse hand into a bluff very often. I think he's going to have pocket sevens, pocket sixes, pocket twos a lot. He bets small and may well call. If he bombs it, I'm just going to be glad to fold, I think. And then we just break the hand down here. He's called the really dry flop. And then he's called the turn. There's not that many draws out there. One of the draws I even got there on the river. The 8-9's got there. This needs for me to call here. I need him to be turning a pair into a bluff. I don't believe he's going to be doing that too often. He might be. That individual player might be, but I don't believe the general 25 and L snap folding pool is doing that. So, no, I'm just going to fold. I mean, when we get called on these dry flops, get called on the turn, then people bomb the river. It's hard for them to have too many bluffs. So, I'll just bow out. I think the turn's a mandatory bet for value. But when he calls again, and then one of the only draws on the flop gets there, it's kind of just one less hand we beat. Again, this guy, small sample size, but he's got a 2.6% 3-bet. Buy ace queen. Not interested in you. And if you are calling 3-bets out of position with ace queen against somebody who's 3-betting around 2.5%, you're doing it wrong. It's not something we really want to be doing. I'm going to call here just because of how deep we are and because he's made it too small. I don't intend on doing anything other than taking very much a no set, no bet line. There's that much more to say about that. Here I'm going to 3-bet this guy because he has a very high fold to 3-bet of 87%. We have some blockers to 4-bets. I'm going to battle this turn for some thin value. It's right interest what is this guy's 4-bet range. 1.2 over 15 hands. Yep, in the bin you go. And now we've got 2 pair on the river. Slam dunk value bet. So I think we're coming up to an hour now, are we? Yeah. So I'm going to play around to my blinds. And I don't often do this in a session, but I've absolutely no idea whether I've made or lost money here. If I had to guess, I'd say we've probably lost a small amount, mostly due to that bit of spew. So we shall very quickly just sit out 4 ring games on next big blind. So peel here against something looks like they could be laggy. Peel in here. Steal in here. C-bet in here. That is not a good board, especially if it's multi-way. I'm kind of just done with it. I don't think there's that many good things can happen for us. Here I'm just going to, even though I think his C-bet bluff range is really narrow, I have a pair and I have some backdoors. So I will just take one off and just see what happens. I mean, I expect him to barrel a turn a heck of a lot here. When he doesn't, I'm now tempted to start bluffing. So I'm going to. And I might just go for the shovel on the river. Because I think he's going to have a hand like ace queen a lot here that's just desperately trying to get to showdown. And this could be a monumental piece of spew, but I am trying to get him to fold an ace here. So I think we have to go with the overbet, and he does. I'm not saying he folded an ace, but at least he folded. I think we have to go for the overbet there. If we are going to make him fold, then try and make him fold an ace. But he could have had 2 kings there or 2 queens or something too that's just peeling the turn, folding the river. But critically, I think most of the time he's going to have a better hand than my piddling little 10 with a 9 kicker. So yeah, I think it's a fine bluff. And I think it's a nice way to end the video. So let me just see if we can pull my tracking software fully into the screen. And we are on the wrong player. Hopefully Holder Manager won't take too long. This may end up taking a while. Well, I'm kind of interested. And I think it's nice. Some people do ask quite often, ask, it was hard to track. Did you win or lose that session, etc. It shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yeah, if people want to know it, and they want to know my stats for the session, how what did I run, what did I be PFR 3-bet, etc. I think it's maybe a nice way to wrap it up, as long as Holder Manager doesn't let me down. And so I won at the end. I think that bluff just won it at the end. I won $11.59. I played 15.12, which is pretty much in line with 6 max stats, really. With a full ring, it's obviously, I think it's way closer to optimal than it is for 6 max. I think I probably could have 3-bet slightly more. I only went to showdown 16%, which is insanely small. And yeah, I think it was a good session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will absolutely be making another one soon because I did enjoy it. Take care, everyone.